Tom Brady and Gisele Bundchen announcing their divorce is now final, ending 13 years of marriage. But both of them said today, and what Brady said this week about finishing out this season.
Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowl rings. He has more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. He is called the greatest football player who ever lived. But on December 20th, 2025, while the world learned his ex-wife, Gisele, just married another man in a secret wedding, Brady posted a song about feeling like his life is not his own. The man who won everything on the field just lost the only game that truly mattered. And now, at 48, he is finally admitting why. The letter that changed everything. Just days ago, the news broke that shocked everyone. Gisele Bundchen had secretly married Joaquim Valente, her jiu-jitsu instructor boyfriend, on December 3, 2025. The ceremony was private and intimate at their Florida home. When Tom Brady found out this news was going public, he did something strange. He posted an Instagram story with a song called 1-800-2738-255. That is the National Mental Health Crisis Hotline number. The lyrics playing said, "I feel like my life is not mine." Then the next day, Brady posted a selfie wearing his own Forever Young hoodie with one word as the caption. Yup. Was he being defiant? Was he hurting? Was he pretending everything was fine? Nobody knows for sure. But what we do know is that Brady had been warned this day would come. He had been warned years ago by Gisele herself, and he kept that warning in a drawer. Back in 2020, during a long interview with Howard Stern, Brady made a confession that shocked everyone listening. He revealed that Gisele had written him a letter, not a love letter, a wake-up call. In that letter, Gisele told him point-blank that she was not satisfied with their marriage. She wrote that their relationship only worked for one person, him. Brady admitted the truth was brutal to hear. Gisele felt like she was raising their children alone. She felt like a single mother running the household while he chased Super Bowls and MVP trophies. 6 months of every year, he was completely consumed by football. Early morning workouts, film sessions that lasted hours, road games that took him away for days at a time. And when football season finally ended, he did not come home and help. Instead, he dove into business meetings and training camps and endorsement deals. There was always another project, always another opportunity, always something more important than being present with his family. She wrote that she had goals and dreams too. Dreams she had put aside for over a decade to support his career. She had walked away from modeling at her peak. She had moved her life across the country multiple times. She had sacrificed everything. Brady told Howard Stern that he still keeps that letter in a drawer. He reads it sometimes. It reminds him of what he almost lost. But here is the thing. He did not almost lose it. He did lose it. Because even after reading that letter and going to marriage counseling and promising to change, Brady was already planning something that would prove every single word Gisele wrote to be true. And that decision would cost him his marriage forever. The 40-day betrayal. It was February 1st, 2022. After 22 seasons and 7 Super Bowl championships, Tom Brady finally announced his retirement from football. He was 44 years old. He said it was time to focus on other things that required his attention. Gisele was overjoyed. She posted a celebration on Instagram talking about how excited she was for their next chapter together. After all those years of waiting, after writing that painful letter, after all the therapy and hard conversations, her husband was finally choosing his family. That feeling lasted exactly 40 days. On March 13, 2022, Brady stunned the entire sports world. He announced he was coming back to play another season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His statement was confident. He said he realized his place was still on the field, not in the stands. But what about his place at home? What about the promises he made to his wife? Sources close to Gisele said she felt completely blindsided. This was not just about football. This was about trust. They had discussed retirement together. They had made plans as a couple. And Brady decided on his own that his desires mattered more than their agreement. One source told the media the devastating truth. Gisele feels like Tom has chosen his career over his family, and she is tired of it. Another insider said she does not hate that he plays football, but she hates how he handled the retirement and coming back. The 2022 season started with Brady present, but clearly somewhere else mentally. In August, he took an 11-day leave from training camp for personal reasons. Nobody explained what was happening, but everyone could guess. By September, the reports came flooding in. Tom and Gisele were living in separate houses. They had an epic fight. Divorce lawyers had been contacted. His former assistant coach, Tom Moore, later wrote a book about what he witnessed during this period. What he saw in that Tampa Bay locker room was a man falling completely apart. A man falling apart. The 2022 season should have been a victory lap for the greatest quarterback in history. Instead, it became a tragedy that played out on national television every single Sunday. Tom Moore watched Brady transform into someone unrecognizable. The quarterback, who was famous for his perfect diet and incredible fitness, was losing weight at an alarming rate. He dropped nearly 20 pounds. His face became gaunt and hollow. The competitive fire that defined him for 2 decades seemed to be dying. The 7-time Super Bowl champion sat down facing his locker, still wearing his full uniform. He put his head between his legs, and he did not move for 20 minutes. He did not speak to anyone. He did not change clothes. He did not acknowledge the coaches or teammates walking past him. He just sat there, completely frozen. This was a man watching his whole world collapse and realizing he might be the one who destroyed it. The public was watching the marriage fall apart in real time. Photographers captured Gisele without her wedding ring. The couple had not been seen together in weeks. Every tabloid ran stories about what went wrong. Brady tried to address it on his podcast. He talked about life challenges. He admitted football was taking everything out of him, but he could not say what everyone already knew. He was watching his family disappear, and he could not stop it. On October 28, 2022, the divorce became official. Tom Brady and Gisele Bundchen ended their 13-year marriage. The paperwork was filed and finalized on the same day because they had a prenup and had already worked out custody arrangements. Both released statements about putting their children first. Brady called it painful and difficult, but neither of them revealed the real reasons behind the split. That would come later when Gisele decided to tell her side of the story. And what she said would change everything people thought they knew about their relationship. The death of a dream. In March 2023, Gisele appeared on the cover of Vanity Fair magazine for her first major interview since the divorce. She had something important to say, and she was not holding back. First, she destroyed the biggest rumor that had followed her for months. People kept saying she gave Tom an ultimatum, football or me. Choose right now. Gisele called this story the craziest thing she had ever heard. She said it was very hurtful that people believed she would do something like that. She never demanded he retire. That was not the truth. The real reason was simpler, but also deeper. She explained that When they met, she was 26 and he was 29. They wanted a family together. They wanted the same things. But as time went by, they realized they wanted different things from life. It was not one decision that ended everything. It was years of growing apart until they could not recognize each other anymore. But then Gisele said something that cut deeper than anything about football. When reporters asked about rumors that she cheated on Brady with Joaquim Valente, she got angry. She said, "That is a lie." She said, "This is something that happens to a lot of women who get blamed when they have the courage to leave an unhealthy relationship." Unhealthy. She called her marriage to Tom Brady unhealthy. In another interview with Robin Roberts, she became emotional talking about the divorce. She called it the death of a dream. She had to stop and compose herself before continuing. This was not a woman who walked away without caring. This was someone mourning a future that would never exist. She had supported Tom through 7 Super Bowls. She had cheered for him even when it hurt her. She had rebuilt her life around his career again and again. Every time he needed to move, she packed up and followed. Every time he needed space, she gave it to him. And in the end, she felt she had no choice but to leave. Not because she stopped loving him, but because she finally loved herself enough to walk away from something that was slowly breaking her. She told Vanity Fair that if there is one person she wants to be the happiest in the world, it is him. She wants all his dreams to come true. Even after everything, she still wishes him well. That tells you everything about who Gisele is as a person. But Gisele was building a new dream of her own. A quieter life with a man who made her feel seen. And when that new life became public, Tom Brady would crack in ways nobody expected. The roast that destroyed him. In May 2024, Tom Brady agreed to do something that seemed harmless and fun. He would star in a Netflix roast special where comedians would make jokes about him. Celebrities do this all the time. You sit there and laugh while people mock you. It shows you are a good sport. It became the biggest mistake of his life after football. One comedian after another took the stage and tore into Brady. They mocked his divorce. They joked about Gisele leaving him for a jiu-jitsu instructor. They made crude jokes about his family situation while millions of people watched. Brady sat there and laughed along. What else could he do? He had agreed to this. But the next morning, everything changed. When Brady called his 3 children the day after the roast, he heard something that broke him. Jack Moynihan, who is 17, Benjamin, who is 15, Vivian, who is 12. They were confused and hurt. They had seen clips from the show. They had heard strangers turn their family pain into punchlines. His kids asked him directly, "What was the point of that? Why did you do that, Dad?" Brady had no answer. How do you explain to your children that you sat there while strangers made jokes about your family falling apart? How do you tell them you thought it would be fine when clearly it was not? The man who always had a game plan for everything had no words for his own kids. Months later, on a podcast, he finally admitted the truth. He said talking to his kids the next day felt like a stake through the heart. Those words coming from Tom Brady meant everything. This is a man who never admits weakness, never shows vulnerability. And here he was confessing to the whole world that he had hurt his own children. He later apologized to Gisele personally for allowing those jokes about her. But the damage was done. The roast forced Brady to face something he had avoided for years. The true cost of his choices. He had missed 23 years of Christmas mornings. He had never spent a real Thanksgiving with his family. He had treated every NFL season like a military deployment, asking his wife and kids to sacrifice everything. Now retired and watching his own decisions blow up in his face, Brady started asking himself a question he had never allowed before. Was any of it worth it? Meanwhile, Gisele was building exactly the life she had always wanted, and soon she would give Brady the final answer to whether their marriage could ever be repaired. The baby, the wedding, and Brady's response. February 2025 brought news that stunned everyone following this story. Gisele Bundchen, at 44 years old, had welcomed a baby boy with Joaquim Valente, her third child, but her first with someone other than Tom Brady. The supermodel had started a completely new family. Then came December 3rd, 2025. In a private ceremony at their home in Surfside, Florida, Gisele married Joaquim. This wedding represented everything her marriage to Brady was not: quiet, private, focused entirely on family instead of fame. What made it more complicated was that Brady knew about the wedding before it happened. He was not blindsided. He had time to prepare himself for this moment, the official end of any hope that he and Gisele might find their way back to each other. The contrast between them could not be more obvious. Gisele had found what she called an honest and transparent relationship. She had a new baby, a new husband, a new life focused on wellness and family and being present. Brady was calling NFL games for Fox, posting mysterious messages on social media, reportedly dating supermodel Irina Shayk on and off, still searching for something. 2 days after the wedding news broke, he was back on television analyzing football like his personal life was not making headlines everywhere, professional as always, on the outside. But something was changing inside Tom Brady, something that would finally lead him to admit what he had been running from for over 20 years. The admission that changes everything. At 48 years old, Tom Brady has finally stopped running from the truth. In a newsletter to his fans earlier this year, Brady tried to explain himself, not as a quarterback, but as a father and husband. The letter was defensive, almost pleading. He wrote that he thinks part of being a great father is being a great example of doing what it takes to take care of your family. He chose to do it by playing football. He said his dedication to the sport and the hours of practice and the laser focus were actually the best thing he could do for his family. He was teaching by example, showing his children what commitment looks like, demonstrating what it takes to be great at your job. But then came the admission that showed the cracks in his confidence. He wrote that you will not be perfect. Nobody is. You will fail and disappoint people along the way. For a man who built his entire career on refusing to accept failure, these words meant everything. Tom Brady was admitting he failed. He wrote that your actions reflect your priorities. That is what you need to live up to every day. And there it is. The confession hidden in plain sight. Tom Brady's actions showed his priorities. Football came first. Always. Even when his wife begged him to change. Even when she wrote him a letter spelling out exactly what would happen if he did not. He made his choice. And now he lives with it. Gisele has moved on completely. She has a new husband, who was her friend first. She has a new baby. She is building the family-centered life she always dreamed about. She holds no public anger toward Brady. She only wishes him happiness. Brady is still figuring things out, still trying to convince himself and everyone else that the trade was worth it. 7 Super Bowl rings sit in a case somewhere. His name will live forever in football history. His bank account holds more than $500 million, but his ex-wife just married another man. His children asked him why he let strangers mock their family on television. And he sits alone, sometimes posting songs about feeling like his life does not belong to him. The greatest winner in NFL history is facing the one loss he can never come back from. Tom Brady chose football. He chose the championships and the fame and the glory. He chose to miss every Christmas for 23 years. He chose to unretire after 40 days, even though his wife finally believed he was choosing her. He thought he could have it all. The greatest career in NFL history and the perfect family waiting at home. But life does not work that way. Something has to give. And in the end, it was his marriage that broke. Now he watches Gisele build a beautiful new life, while he searches for something to fill the empty space. She wakes up next to a man who puts her first. She has a new baby to love. She has the peace she was looking for all along. And Tom Brady has his memories, his trophies, his records that may never be broken. Some victories come with a price you do not understand until years later. Tom Brady understands now. He sees clearly what he could not see when he was chasing one more championship, one more perfect season, one more chance to prove he was the greatest. He proved it. Nobody will ever question his legacy on the football field. What are your thoughts on Brady's confession? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe.